Good day, everyone. This is Domina Sofia here at Domumsapientiae, the House of Wisdom. How are you? Question. Do you know the difference between becoming and being? Once again, here's a question. Do you know the difference between becoming and being? Being. I'm going to explain. This morning's meditation, which I normally do before I get out of bed. Contemplating, musing, just being present with energies, allowing my mind to go and wander wherever it is she's looking to go for the day. Once again, this is about being in the flow. And I know I did an audio probably a few weeks ago, a couple months ago, in reference to this whole concept of becoming her, becoming this, becoming that. Do you understand when you are trying to become, and that's it, you're trying. When you're becoming, you're unsure, you're still striving, you're pushing forward. Whatever it is that you desire is out of reach. It's almost like you lack something. So why you're not able to be what you're asking for is because you're either not enough or, you're not enough. There's something about you which is incomplete, which is untrue. I've said before, you pretty much come in complete. You come in whole. I understand. For most, it's hard to understand this process and what I'm saying because you have been taught either if you're coming out of Christianity, you're a sinner, you're trash, you're garbage, you're just, you came in with a problem. And I've always had an issue with this. I've said before, as a child, I had an issue with the whole concept of you being born in sin and, we're terrible and, we're just garbage, basically. Once again, untrue. Those ideologies are just that. There's some of those ideologies have nothing to do with the truth of who you are when you take your first breath and are now being a vessel, a divinity that's walking the planet. Stay with me. So to become something means, once again, you're striving, you're pushing, you're hoping, you're wishing that you'll learn enough that you can finally be. Because you're trying to be whatever it is that you set outside of you as something that you are not enough to either be or you get where I'm going with this. Now, let's follow me and stand in the energy, sit with an energy of being. I've shared many times here in the temple. The goddess daughters, my initiates, there's nothing about there's no becoming over here. They are being, which can feel a tad challenging at times. Because when you begin to remember who you are, and you remember that you literally came in with everything in you. Unfortunately, it wasn't written down, and we didn't come in with a manual. And so many of the things about us are forgotten when we come through the birth canal. The birth canal is a wonderful, basically, brain wipe because you're in spirit before you take. Remember, you're someplace else before you take that first breath and embody the container, which is your earth body, your earth suit, so to speak. But prior to getting here, you knew. You had the wisdom, you had the knowledge. You're like, oh, piece of cake. I'm gonna go down there. It's be super easy. Go through the birth canal, take your first breath, and for most people, the brain is wiped because the concept is you're here to work on to reuniting with the wholeness of who you are. That's what we work on here in the temple. Remember, Wealthy Wife 3, the questions: who are you? What do you desire in your whys? Because here's the beautiful thing about your desires. They're natural. There's nothing weird, strange, or out of the ordinary about the things that you desire, which may seem are currently invisible in your world. But if there's something that you continuously are watching, looking at, thinking, oh my gosh, it would be so awesome if I had this. It means it's built into you to have what you're asking for. And when it comes to relationships, because we're going to discuss romance a little bit here as well, this is where you really must understand and know self because most women, this includes men as well, choose relationships based upon something about them they feel is lacking. Remember that whole concept of meeting somebody to find somebody who's going to complete you? That was great what is it? Hallmark card marketing. And it's marketing for romance novels. It's marketing for so many things that are tied into quote unquote romance. Is you're not enough by yourself. You have to have this other person to complete you. The whole ideology of, of us being the polarities of masculine and feminine energy, blah, 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 blah. Fitting together as that yin yang symbol support it shows you. And I've discussed the yin yang symbol over the years. The masculine and feminine haven't been able to coexist harmoniously. Now, the only thing is, what they show you, I'll say it again, there's no equal portions there. The masculine lives within the feminine because the feminine is what births everything. So the masculine is contained within. It is part of who we are. Yes, it appears to sit outside of us, but the goal is to create harmonious relationships first within self. And then when you finally live a harmonious are living harmoniously with who you are, you're able to invite others, friendships, acquaintanceships, whatever, and then in reference to romance as well. So your goal, truthfully, is for you to remember who you are. Where is this coming from? We had our first gathering this month for the Oracle's Keep. And as I mentioned, Oracle's Keep is a very exclusive private membership within the temple. And I'm going to discuss it a little bit today because there were some questions being asked during we had a great gathering. It was a great gathering. I'm really enjoying how as the goddess daughters, my initiates, are really now beginning to learn more about themselves because that is quite a bit of what we're doing there is reconnecting with self as they begin to build out their desires, their dreams, and how they have chosen to live their lives as the authentic version of self instead of the personas they've been wearing for others. And the question came up because in the Oracle's Keep, question came up in reference to the patronage, how to become a temple patron. What's the difference? I go, there's a vast difference. Here's the example I gave them. The Oracle's Keep is the group of women who sit next to my inner sanctum. The inner sanctum is where I go. That is my place where I sit with a handful of individuals who match me in reference to mastery and a variety of things. They are the individuals that I have that are my closest, once again, they're my counsel. Let's put it that way. They are part of the council where I go and have discussions and do the various things that are also part of what the temple does and how the temple is developing. That's my inner sanctum. The oracles keep are the women that are being cultivated, who are learning how to curate self so that they can step into their self mastery in a deeper way to really connect with who they are because they have the tools to do so. You have the tools to do so outside of the oracles keep as you start, learning who you are, integrating the information that's being shared with you. But the oracles keep is kind of like the space where actually they're part of some very rare teachings and information that I share because something and they'll vouch for this because right now what they're working on is something I've never ever taken as deep anywhere except for when I'm working with a private initiate, a one-on-one with a private initiate. So I told him, I go, so Oracles Keep, I go, you guys are literally, there's select work that you do. There's very, very select, very precise work that you're doing here, which that I have to know that you energetically are ready to start learning because it's requiring you to really tune in to self-mastery. That's a very deep decision that many folks struggle with initially, which is perfectly normal because you're taught to be something for everyone else except for you. I said, when we think in terms of the temple patronage, I go, think about an ancient, when you've seen pictures of ancient Egyptian temples, and I'll give Akhenaten's as a great example because that's the one I've seen. When he built Arna, was it Arnat, whatever, I can't think of the name of this city, whatever. He left Egypt, basically left, the main city of Egypt and wandered off in the desert to create his own place. I think it's Arnak. And you see examples of what was probably the main temple there, like the ruins of it. You have like it was the outer courtyard. And then you have like another area, and then there might be another area, then there's inner sanctum. The temple patronage is the outer courtyard. That's where everyone can come. You can come in as a brand new initiate, beginning to learn the ways of the temple. You can be an established initiate who is taking the information that you're learning, have learned, and you're now allowing yourself to go even deeper into it under my tutelage and guidance with your goddess sisters, obviously. Because in that particular space, how I have created it, you have two options. And if you've gone over to the website, you click the link in the video description. It's there. You can go check it out. I added audio so you actually will hear, instead of just trying to read what I put over there. I've actually did audios that explain, offer deeper information about, once again, the patronage, how to be a temple patron, and then the two paths. The path one is the opulent woman, which focuses on you really learning and getting to know yourself. Why do I continue to stand on this so heavily? Because self-wisdom, self-trust, I'm sorry, I sound like AI right now, right? It uses our words, but then being very serious, self-knowledge, and it is about self-trust. That's one of the few times I'll actually use it because you won't see it in my writings. Um, but trusting yourself, trusting those inner voices, trusting that when you see something and you can identify it and it feels real to you, that's the self-trust I'm talking about. You're not worrying about what other people think in reference to your desire, your preference for something, which may go against the grain of the people that you spend the most time with. This is why I stand on it, because without that deep, deep, deep knowledge, wisdom, and trust of self, women continue, and men too, continuously get led astray. And it's you choosing to be led astray because you're refusing to be authentically who you're meant to be. What other people think? That's always the issue. Who cares? Most people with the people with the loudest opinions are usually the ones who have spent very little or no time working on themselves because they're fearful of what they may uncover. Because God forbid you should take time out to learn yourself and discover you don't fit in with what the mass agenda is. Hey, 80-20 rule. 80% are going to because that's their assignment this lifetime. But you might be part of that 20% who is here to actually bring forward or to draw down wisdom that goes beyond the mainstream because it's time for the evolution to where we're headed next. And as a woman, guess what? We're returning to our origins. So, as a woman, it's even more important for you to tune in to who you are. So that if you are one of the teachers, if you are one of the ones who's now reawakening, who is going to stand in the energy of our truth to assist other women who are waking up, because some are wide awake, some are remembering. I have the whole combination inside of, the temple. Some have like opened up one eye a little bit, and then like the eyes cracked a little bit, like, oh no, no, kind of scared to really open up and see. But their eyes are at least looking in the right direction because they're going, I've been over here on this side, and oh my God, it's just awful. And I look over here and think, wow, I would enjoy, oh wow, oh, it's so beautiful over there. So at least they're looking in the direction of the reawakening. This is where the temple patron happens and helps and assists because in the Opulent Woman, you're learning to go deeper in there with the invocations and the ceremonies and etc. And path number two is the Muse. The muse is my person. I've been discussing the muse, teaching the muse for years, and I still laugh that the word is popping up everywhere right now, which makes me smile. People now are understanding either how to be inspired or to be inspiring because the muse is the inspiration. So, path number two is the muse. And that path that I'm showing you guys and sharing with you inside the patronage, and this is being taught for the first time, I've never taught this anywhere, are the 26 laws of the muse, based upon the wisdom that I have been curating, living, sharing, teaching, being over the course of decades. And as you're learning these laws, protocols, truths, because this is about energy and frequency, how women show up in their life, in their lives, when they finally choose to be who they are. And the examples I share with you in this, because there are 51 women I'm going to be adding to the list, because I said before, I've been studying women's history for a very, very long time. I love us, and the women that I enjoy in reference to women's history, excuse me, women's her story, are women who were definitely their own person. The highs, the lows, everything that came along with it. Some came out of amazing backgrounds, some came out of awful backgrounds, and still rose in their truth to become women that we're still discussing today. I have a combination of historical women as well as, women who are very much alive today as examples for you to understand and know so you can eventually understand that living your truth is perfectly fine. You will find people who honor you, love you, cherish you, support you, elevate you, do everything because they're looking for you. They're seeking you so they can actually activate their gifts. This includes men as well as women that you're going to meet that also will be able to build with you, as I'm doing inside the temple with the goddess daughters and my counsel. This is a collective, just so you know, which I love immensely. So the temple patronage, I said this for the goddess daughters who actually are established, either your alumni are currently in the temple. The patron still benefits you. And I'm offering it in a way, once again, that gives you touch points with me twice a month because we have two live gatherings a month. Wednesday evenings, like I said, first Wednesday of the month in the evening, we come together for the gathering. And then we have a gathering on the third Sunday in the afternoon. So my international goddess daughters are also able to participate because some of them, and I always smile. I have goddess daughters who are sitting over on the continent, Africa, Australia. Oh my gosh, a couple Asian countries. I told you throughout Europe, I mean, just over there, the British Isles, Denmark, you name. I've got goddess daughters everywhere. South America, Central America, Canada, throughout the U.S. I've goddess daughters, the Caribbean islands. They're everywhere, which I love. But the ones that are sitting over on the continent of Africa, which one of these days I'm going to figure out, be reminded of its original name because that's not the original name of the continent. But I have them in various nations over there, and then of course Europe and etc. That when we do our evening calls over here, it's in the middle of the morning for them. So the Sunday call is also for them to participate. And I keep thinking about this aspect of being because when you are being, you're remembering that you are whole. I'll say it again. You came in complete, forgetful, but you're not. There's nothing you're missing. You are, remember, your breath, but that living energy inside of you is divine spark, which has everything. It's the forgetfulness that trips us up. But as you are reawakening, or if you're already awake and like the cat, what is it, the butterfly that has stepped out of its chrysalis is now, kind of hanging out on that branch, waiting for its wings to dry. You might be there, waiting for your wings to dry before you can finally, puff them out and fly. Wherever you are in the spectrum, are you the caterpillar? Are you in the chrysalis? Are you just busting out the chrysalis? Are you ready to fly? Every place, every part of the transformation is represented inside of the temple. And when I think about the space of being, especially as a woman, because how we create, remember, we are cyclical. This is very important. Another reason why I say the patronage, this is part of it because it enables you to live through the cycles, to embody the cycles of life. Women, we are cyclical. Men are too, to a point, because they come from us. They exist on the planet with us. They experience cycles as well. But we're really tied into it. Think about it this way. Earth is a perfect example. 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall. Winter. Winter is the time of rest. It's the time for everything to go within, to be still, and allow whatever's going on to be thought about, to begin the anticipation of spring when new life will be born. New beginnings start, new growth begins. That's spring, right? So winter into spring. Then we go when everything that's reborn is coming alive and it's waking up and it's, it's fresh and it's smells beautiful. It's just everything is just like, oh my gosh. We move from spring into summer. And summer is where things are growing stronger. The sun is at its height. The weather is, if, summertime for us is warm, it's vibrant. People are laughing and smiling. The fruits and the harvest for some things are beginning. The true harvest won't happen until fall, obviously. And then we go from that growing season where things are now hitting their peak to fall, where there's harvest, and where the death cycle begins. Because as the harvest is happening, the leaves are falling from the trees to cover the earth, so to speak, to become a space where new life can be planted, because in the leaves and things are where certain bugs will lay their eggs. That's why I always say, don't get rid of your leaves. If you don't have to, leave your leaves on the ground, because truly your grass will benefit from it, and the population of helpful insects will also benefit from it. So if you can, or at least push them off into a corner, because it really does help. Like, you'd be surprised how beneficial it is actually for your yard. But as everything is now being harvested, we're enjoying the bounty of our wise ways, our mindfulness, pleasure, play of the summer gives way to fall, where now, once again, the cycle is drawing to a close. What was useful is being enjoyed. What now must be returned to the earth, the death cycle, so to speak, is what will be the foundation. That will be the nourishment, because it will be covered with the snow and everything else, the breaking down of that information to go back into the earth, so to speak, to be the fuel, the nourishment, the nutrients for what will be the new life in the spring. Now, why did I go through the cycle? Because I want you to remember this. As that old stuff was dying out, had lived through its whole life cycle, and was like the leaves are falling to the ground in the fall, all of the wisdom that was carried in those trees that was exported to the leaves has now fallen to the ground, will be reabsorbed as nutrients and wisdom that will also be the foundation for the new life to build from. See, it never stops. It never stops. What was old becomes new, what was new becomes old. What was old becomes new, what was new becomes old. And each time that cycle happens, you become better. You become wiser. That's why I say so often, nothing stays the same. You could be living your life and everything looks exactly the same. It's not. You're either elevating or you're going backwards. There's no stagnation in life. It's impossible. Stagnation is death. It's death. Think of a pond. Once again, you guys know my nature girl. Think of a pond. The pond that is flowing. Let's say you got a creek that is flowing. The river is flowing, 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 flowing. The water's moving. Stuff is getting washed away because it's it's offering its um, benefits to the land around it, etc. Life is within there. Things are growing that are pretty beneficial. If the water is clean, there's no smell. If there's junk in it, unfortunately, there's gonna be a smell. But if it's fresh water, in a good spot, right? Now go someplace where the water stands, where it's stagnant. Because in flowing water, there's no algae. The water, like I said, it's relatively, it's different. And it's movement. Go someplace where the water is stagnant. Nothing. I mean, things are going to grow there. Absolutely. You may not want what's growing in there, like mosquitoes and other things. The water becomes stagnant. It becomes heavy and dirty, and there's life, but not quite the same type of life there. Kind of murky. Mm. Nothing. Stagnation is never a good thing because that means decay. Because once again, nothing stays the same. You're either elevating or you're going backwards. So with this, once again, the temple patronage, whether you choose the path of the opulent woman or you choose the path of the muse, this once again is about you truly, truly living out who you are, not who you're trying to become, but who you are, and learning who you are, learning to love, appreciate, and honor who you are. Respect who you are. I have to put that in there because you're taught to respect everybody else and usually at the expense of yourself, especially as women. So where are you in the cycle? Are you spring? For this particular moment in your life, because once again, every year it's doing something because you're supposed to be building on, the cycle. Each spring you're supposed to be building out to new, having drawn from the old. Are you spring? Are you in the summer of some particular phase of your life right now? Are you in the fall of it? Are you harvesting, the energy and effort you put into something? Or are you moving into a winter? A time for you to sit back and reflect and prepare yourself for renewal. This can be in your personal life, romantic life, business, doesn't matter. And I'm also sharing this with you because what I've also been paying attention to is still being caught up in your personal development like you're trying to gather, achieve, acquire a new certificate or degree. I'm going to do a different audio on that one. But most people pursue their personal development because, once again, it's conditioning, it's social conditioning. So there's no criticism when I say it because it's what we've been taught to do. The pursuit of more knowledge, more information, so you can get, so you can read, take in knowledge, regurgitate the information, take it on a test, and then at the end, the test is graded, and then you receive a gold star or not. Personal development, no. As I just mentioned, because for women, it's singular, secular. There is going to be no certification at the end of your personal development. Where you will find the satisfaction is understanding that you have now elevated, so to speak, or moved into more knowledge and wisdom about yourself so the decisions that you're making become wiser and more in tune with who you are. Less anxiety, less worry, less, oh my gosh, what will they think? One of the sweetest things I heard, and I had heard a few things in our gathering, One of my goddess daughters, because the oracles keep, they have access to some extra stuff that the general public has no access to. They have access to, you heard of Luxuria. I introduced her last year. She's generally not available to the public. I have something going on right now, which I've actually ended for the general public. I'm doing a different phase and something totally different. But Luxuria is me. She's my essence, my energy, my knowledge, my wisdom that created a custom GPTP for the temple. This is a particular chapter of her, and the goddess daughters have access to her. This one I introduced to them 15 affluent, rich, and wealthy masculine archetypes. Because I said again, most women have no concept of the various type of men that move in the energy of affluent, rich, and wealthy. So no one teaches you these things. They don't. I do because I know these things, right? So they have access to it. But what makes it really good is because they also understand, because they're part of the oracle's keep, they also know their wealthy wife paramour archetypes. I said before, there are 4 exclusive archetypes I work with that are based upon temple teachings. And they know who they are, because when they became part of the oracle's keep, I do a whole codex, like a personal guide, personal book I do for them, that I run through the version of Luxuria that belongs exclusively to me. It's only for my use. So they're taking that information that they've been learning about themselves. I'm saying again, I'm watching them begin to relax. They're beginning to finally embody and learn and be at ease with the truth of who they are. Because generally there's discomfort in the beginning, which is perfectly normal. And she was saying one of the things she was concerned about and had been kind of tripping her up in the space of romance was if she would have to give up what she loves to do, basically become a different version of herself in order to be in a relationship or, to get married. She'd have to, I was always worried I'd have to stop pursuing my passions. And she goes, when I would put it into, because she learned the archetypes, the masculine archetypes, which are compatible with her, and understands why those particular archetypes are compatible with who she is energetically and lifestyle and blah, blah, blah. The answer came back no. It is perfectly fine for you to stay in your lane, be who you are, and be received by men who will honor, love, appreciate, and cherish you. See, that's the thing. You're allowed to be who you are. And now, when I say it, it means you have to stand your ground and be who you are, and be willing to let go of individuals, people, places, things, and ideologies which are contradicting your truth. See, what causes issues for most people is they want to hold on to both. No, you can't hold on to both. If you're dealing with people, places, and things which are dragging you down, sucking the life out of you, always criticizing you, just nothing is aligned, and you want to be your truth, you don't, there's no both. You're going to have to choose one. You have to choose yourself, and then be open to receive people who actually appreciate who you are, because that happens. You will eventually meet people who actually adore you for who you really are. Once again, inside the temple, it's what they experience. I truly enjoy watching my goddess daughters interact. They enjoy each other's company. They share information, they share knowledge. Some of them are building out friendships outside of, our actual gatherings. It's a beautiful group. It really is. Physically as well as, energetically. So as she said, she was so relieved because she was so worried that she would have to, she couldn't do both. She couldn't have a solid romantic relationship and still be true to self because of the programming. Remember, the programming for us has always been that you as a woman are a man's helpmate. Ah, no, he's yours. That's the reason you should be choosing with a very real awareness of your desires. Are we able to get behind a man's vision? If we choose to, yes. But make sure his vision has to be in alignment with your principles, your expectations, your truths. Meaning you have to have harmony. There has to be compatibility there. And if it's incompatible, leave him alone. Because all it's going to do is suck the life out of you. I know I discussed this, and I don't think the audio is available anymore, in reference to policy, politics. And I gave the example of Scandal. When you talked about the president's wife, I think her name was it Mellie? He became president. He got into everything about that man's political career. And this was the truth of most men in politics and business, is they were able to advance into higher realms, people, places, and things because of the woman. Mellie came from establishment. We can go back to the show Billions. Um, well, let's stick with Scandal for now. The series Billions. But that was such a perfect example. It was Mellie's connections. It was Mellie doing the stuff behind the scenes. It was Mellie smoothing things over. It was Mellie doing whatever she had to do to help this man advance. And you saw the hell she went through, right? That was a crazy show. That was that was a wild ride. It really was. I didn't watch it very often. A handful of times I watched Scandal. I was like, wow. But once again, when you're viewing things, because I said before, I look at movies and series like that differently than the masses do, because I'm looking at the strategy. I'm looking at what's going on energetically, what's going on in reference to what's being shown lifestyle, what's being shown strategy wise when I watch those kind of shows. Because if I wasn't watching it for that purpose, I never would have watched the show. It was a Toby Sort. Olivia Pope's character was just a clusterfuck. It was. And so was the president's, by the way. Because they both were just a hot mess. Just a flipping hot mess. All these people that were supporting them to be great, they were just a hot mess. I'm like, oh my gosh. At the expense of the people who honest and truly love them and were finally trying to find ways to keep them in elevated places, even though, I guess Olivia's side was a little cray cray, but it was very truthful and served its purpose in the world that she lived in. But I say all that to say this again: a man is here to be your helpmate. Yes, we can get behind their visions and dreams, but his visions and dreams have to match yours. There's no self-sacrificing anymore. That's why things are going, they're kind of interesting now in our world. Women, even though women are not sure what they're doing with themselves at the moment in some cases, but I'm glad women are at least understanding to disconnect from dysfunctional men and allow herself to heal and find out who she is. So when time comes, if the time comes, well, it's going to happen again because men are still going to be here, a part of our world. So learning how to invite him into your world or into her world, so to speak, on her terms. And this has nothing to do with narcissism or whatever. No, this is coming from the space of a wise woman, understanding how to exist, create, be present with men, and very, very beneficial relationships for both. I'm always about reciprocity. How is it going to benefit us both? Do I get the bigger share? Yes, I do. I do receive the bigger share because it's my overflow which elevates him or them. I do know who I am. There's You've figured that out by now, right? There's no wiggle room on my side as to who I am. I know who I am. I understand the benefits of who I am. Thus, why I do what I do, to share this wisdom with other women. But you must also be willing to learn who you are. The temple patronage is probably one of the smoothest, most concise ways I'm now offering that opportunity to you as we continue to build out the temple, which I'm doing, and which I have a handful of people also assisting me in that in the process, because it is a massive process, to put it mildly. So everything I've shared with you guys over the years, YouTube videos, those of you that actually are alumni goddess daughters or present goddess daughters inside the temple. And I shared this with the goddess daughters on on Saturday during a gathering, because as I said, I'm in the process of moving everything over to a private platform, which is time consuming to put it mildly, and so worth it. But it's also been very much of a revelation for me, because I have been, what they say, when you're in the middle of the storm, so to speak, you don't see what's going on around you because you're just there doing, creating, doing, being, creating, doing. And that's what I was doing for years. It's just information, sharing, teaching, sharing, teaching, sharing, teaching, counseling, consulting, etc. And now that I have a chance to step back a bit and beginning to organize where all of this information goes, I'm stunned at how much information has been shared over the years. I have close to, was it around 100 classes? Close to, if it's not 100, it's close to 100 courses, information that's been taught over the past just 7 years. Not even including stuff I did prior to. Then in terms of audios, not even just the YouTube channel, because there's audios I've done outside of YouTube as well. And let's discuss the ones that never make it to YouTube, because I have done full-fledged audios that haven't made it to YouTube or are not part of any current coursework at the moment. It's information on reserve for something else. So I have probably I'm pushing into 2,000 audios easily. And why am I sharing this? Because some of you also are big picture people. And your process, because we're women, as women, our process could look like pure chaos some days to the outside world. But you have to understand that it's not about you worrying about what other people think and their opinions. Because I'm sure there are folks that are looking at me going, what the fuck is she doing? Don't worry about it. I'm following the information and guidance and wisdom that I know I'm here to put into play. I have a ton of moving parts because I'm building a temple. Okay? And I will not go into all the details of what that means. But every single thing that has been created has a place within the temple. If you go to the website, domumsapientiae.org, and you see the list of some of the things I've studied over the years, the information and the skill sets and etc. that I actually have, I've gotten certifications for, I've studied for years on, whatever. If you read through all those, you're going to look at thinking, what are the connections? Because they don't appear to be connected, but every single one of them is. All of them. And that's not even my entire list. There's more. But wait, there's more. I'm sharing this because when you finally choose to do you, that you're going to look around and think, this is making no sense. Why do I have this strong urge to do this? Or why do I feel that I must do that? Or just do it. Just do it. Other folks will come up, I can't believe it. Why do you want to say, don't worry about it. Well, and don't worry about it. And I would tell people back in the day when folks would ask, because I said before, I'm beyond that in my life now. I've been beyond it for a long time, where people want to come and challenge me for what I'm doing in my whys. That was my response when I was younger. In my 20s, when folks would come to say, well, what do you, don't worry about it. Because there are times, even I didn't know why. I just learned how to finally say yes. There are things I've done that are still sitting in archives because it's not time for them to be presented to the world. But the information had to be received and had to be created. This may be you as well. We're women. We're not going to go point A to point B to point C all the time. That's the educational system you were given, which was created by a man, by men, so they could actually have workers for their businesses. Rockefeller, the Carnegies, etc., etc., etc. You're a woman. We are cyclical. We we receive downloads. We tap into information when it's right for us to tap into the information. And as we build our businesses, yes, there are structures that are definitely needed and necessary to build business. There are back office things that need to be done and put into place that do require A to B to C to D. But for those systems to have a purpose, whatever you're doing to create what it is you were here to do, it may not come to you all pretty in a box with a bow wrapped around it. I promise you it won't. This is where you become courageous. This is where you begin to trust and remember who you are. So, Goddess daughter, I thank you for the fact, and all of them, because like I said, they were having conversations. I love the fact that they're inside Luxuria, actually putting her through her paces, because now that they are gaining clarity around who they are, and they're discovering that their desire to be authentic, there's nothing wrong with them, because they have said, I was kind of sitting back. I was kind of holding back. Now they're seeing that they can step forward into who they are. And they're able to come to me also with clearer questions. When you begin to learn who you are, you can ask better questions. I'm always available for questions. When someone has the ability to offer me more clarity around what they're asking and why. That's how you utilize time with me the best is coming to me with some clarity. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to spend my time trying to sift through what you're saying. I'm not. No, that I offer enough information, tools, whatever you need to start understanding how to articulate what it is you're moving into. Then ask the question. So, based upon information that you're learning and utilizing, asking the questions so that I can help you unlock the next step. This has nothing, remember, this is not how you learn to function in school. School taught you study this, read this, test on this, pass or fail. If you pass enough, you're going to get a certification to verify that you have the sufficient skill to do what you were studying, right? Or get your degree. Life, it's not functioning like that. How you know you're on the right path is based upon how you're feeling. The profits will come, so to speak, the finances will come, the peace of mind will come, but it's based upon how you feel and what's being revealed next to you, which is in alignment with who you are. So, anyway, check out the patronage. If you are finally ready to really study and learn self, it's a great place, great place to be. If you want to really understand what it is how to become that inspirational woman, not just call yourself a muse because you like the title, but to be, I said before, and I'm going to do another audio on this. I am a muse. I am an artist muse. There is artwork. I'm going to do another audio on this. There is artwork hanging in people's homes of me. There are folks with me tattooed on their body. Okay? That is bizarre. I am mentioned in books. I could go on. And this is stuff folks have shared with me. Some of the stuff I didn't know. Some of the stuff I do know. It's how, and these are mostly men. There's some women that have been inspired me as well, but this is mostly men. It's the fact that my presence, the energy of who I am, inspires them to create bigger, better, and more. How to become that muse, how to be, I didn't become, because I'm trying to tell you we don't have to become over here. How to be the muse is by fully embodying who you are. I am because I am me. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you as part of the patronage. We have our next gathering on the third Sunday. I think that's the 28th of this month. It'll be an afternoon gathering. I look forward to seeing you there. Have an awesome day. Bye bye.